Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That strange stillness you have been feeling. Do not dismiss it. Something is ending. And the most powerful thing about it is that it will not arrive with noise. It will not announce itself with chaos or confrontation. The biggest goodbye of your life is already in motion, and it is doing what all divine endings do. It is moving in silence. The enemy is working overtime right now for one reason and one reason only. He knows that when this goodbye completes itself, he loses his access to you forever. It all ends here. The confusion, the waiting, the exhaustion of holding on to something that was never meant to follow you into your next season. But listen carefully, because this is the part most people miss. It is not ending because you failed. It is ending because you finally stopped fighting the closing door. Think back to that moment this week when you let something go without making it dramatic. Maybe you did not respond to that message. Maybe you drove past that place without stopping. Maybe you sat with the grief of it quietly instead of reaching back. You thought that moment was weakness. You thought walking away without a word meant you were not ready. But that silence was not surrender. That silence was completion. That was the moment heaven said, "It is done." You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not surface this for you. Something far older and far more precise than any system built by human hands brought you to this exact moment. This is a divine appointment, written before the foundations of the earth, prepared specifically for the version of you that is standing at the threshold of the most significant transition of your life. Stay through every second of this message, because in the next few minutes I am going to show you exactly what this goodbye is clearing out of your path. I am going to hand you the decree that legally closes the door on everything that has been assigned to delay your next season. And at the end I am going to give you the declaration that seals this ending and activates the arrival of what has been waiting on the other side. Do not leave before the end. Your future self is standing on the other side of this message, and if you walk away now, you risk reopening an exit that God has already sealed. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. It has not just been quiet. It has been a specific kind of quiet. The kind that settles into your chest and makes it hard to explain to anyone around you why you feel the way you feel. The kind that sits at the edge of something enormous. Maybe you were lying awake at 300 in the morning this week, and instead of anxiety, all you felt was an enormous sense of finality. Like something had already ended and your body was just catching up to what your spirit already knew. Or maybe it was yesterday, standing in the middle of an ordinary moment, and out of nowhere your eyes filled with tears, and you could not explain why. No trigger, no dramatic event, just a wave of something deep and ancient moving through you. You feel suspended, like you are standing in the hallway between two rooms, one door behind you that you cannot fully see anymore, and one door ahead of you that has not opened yet. And in that hallway, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. He is telling you that the silence means nothing is happening. He is replaying that moment when you let go, when you chose not to fight, when you released something or someone without demanding closure. And he is telling you that was a mistake. He is saying you gave up too soon. He is saying you should have held on longer. He is saying the blessing was tied to what you just released, and now it is gone. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, "Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." Listen to what that promise is actually saying. God is not asking you to forget. He is commanding your attention forward. He is telling you that the new thing does not require you to understand how the old thing ended. It only requires you to stop looking backward long enough to see what is already beginning to spring up in front of you. The biggest goodbyes never come with announcements. They do not give you a speech. They do not hand you a timeline. They arrive in the form of a quiet release, a door that stops opening when you push it, a peace that settles where the striving used to be. That heaviness you feel is not grief over something lost. It is the weight of something finishing exactly the way it was designed to finish. You are not being left behind. You are not in a cycle. You are not standing at the beginning of another long season of waiting. You are at the end of one. And the end is not the worst place to be. The end is where the new road begins. Some goodbyes don't announce themselves. They don't arrive with conflict or confrontation. They don't come with a final argument or a slammed door. They come in the quiet, in the slow pulling away of a hand you thought would always be there, in the gradual dimming of conversations that once felt alive, in the moment you realize you've outgrown something you once prayed for. It's like watching the tide recede, not with a roar but with a whisper, leaving behind a shore that was once familiar, now subtly transformed. And if you've been feeling that quiet lately, that strange, unsettling sense that something is ending without your permission, like a melody fading from your awareness, I need you to understand something before we go any further. What you're feeling is not loss. It's preparation. It is the recalibration of your soul, the divine redirection of your spirit. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, a resonance that felt like a key turning in a lock, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It is a map etched in cosmic ink, designed to illuminate the sacred architecture of your life. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God, letting the truth seep into your very being like a gentle rain nourishing parched earth. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus e-book for those carrying a prophetic assignment, equipping you with the spiritual weaponry and wisdom to declare His word with unshakable authority. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time, a fleeting window of opportunity for divine empowerment. Now let's go deeper, because this is where most people get confused, caught in the undertow of their own resistance. They feel the ending coming, a subtle tremor beneath the surface of their lives, and they fight it. They hold on tighter, like a drowning person clinging to a piece of driftwood, desperate not to be swept away. They pray against the very thing God ordained. Their prayers a plea for the familiar, a resistance to the ordained transition. They mistake the closing of a chapter for the closing of the book, a misunderstanding that keeps them tethered to the past. But heaven doesn't remove things from your life carelessly, like a child discarding a broken toy. Every departure has been deliberated. Every separation has been sanctioned by a wisdom that spans eternity. And the quiet goodbye you're walking through right now, the one that feels like abandonment, like failure, like something went terribly wrong, like a ship sailing away from shore without you, it was written in the stars before you were born, a destiny woven into the fabric of creation. Think about Abraham. The moment God told him to leave his country, his kindred, his father's house, He didn't tell him where he was going. He just said, "Go." Imagine the profound stillness of that command, the sheer leap of faith required. And Abraham had to make a quiet goodbye. No ceremony, no farewell gathering, no explanation that would make everyone understand the seismic shift occurring within him. Just the internal knowing, a deep, unwavering certainty that what was behind him could no longer contain what was ahead of him. The goodbye was quiet because the assignment was sacred, a whisper from the divine that couldn't be drowned out by the clamor of human expectation. And some things God is moving you away from are too holy, too precious, too potent to explain to people who weren't meant to walk that particular path with you. They are secrets held between your soul and the Creator, moments of profound intimacy that require no earthly validation. But here's where it goes deeper, unearthing truths that lie beneath the surface of our daily experience. It's not just about the people leaving or the places changing, the tangible aspects of our lives that feel like they're dissolving. The most significant goodbye you are being asked to make right now is internal. It is an excavation of the self, a shedding of layers that no longer serve your highest purpose. There is a version of you, a smaller, more frightened, more approval-seeking version of you that God is retiring, like a beloved but worn-out garment that has served its purpose. That version of you served a purpose. It helped you survive. It helped you navigate rooms where your full radiant self wasn't safe, where vulnerability felt like a fatal flaw. But that version of you has now become the ceiling, a self-imposed limitation that caps your potential. And you cannot enter the next season of your life, the grander unfolding of your destiny, while still holding hands with who you were in the last one, dragging the shadows of the past into the dawning light of the future. This is the part most people resist, the part that triggers the deepest anxieties, because that old version of you feels safe. It feels familiar, like a worn-out armchair in a dimly lit room. You know its limits, the boundaries it will not cross. You know its scripts, the predictable responses it has memorized. You know exactly how much pain it can manage before it breaks, and exactly how much joy it will allow before it flinches, before it shrinks back into the shadows. But familiar is not the same as faithful, and comfort is not the same as calling. The goodbye God is orchestrating in your life right now is asking you to release even the identity that got you this far. The mask you wore with such practiced ease, because it cannot carry you to where He is taking you next. It is an identity forged in the crucible of survival, not in the fires of transformation. And what's coming next will likely surprise you. It always does. The divine tapestry of our lives is far more intricate and wondrous than our limited human minds can conceive. Because here is something that rarely gets spoken. A truth often buried beneath layers of societal conditioning and personal expectation. The goodbye isn't only about what's being removed. It's about what the removal is creating space for. It's about the fertile ground left behind after the harvest, ready for a new planting. When God stripped Joseph of his coat, his freedom, and his reputation, all in rapid succession, it looked like devastation from the outside, a man being systematically dismantled. It looked like a life unraveling at every seam, a tragic narrative of misfortune. But every layer that was taken was a layer that would have limited him in the palace, a constraint that would have prevented him from ascending to his rightful place. The pit wasn't punishment, it was preparation, a divine alchemy dressing loss in the garb of opportunity. And the prison wasn't delay, it was the classroom, the sacred space where the ruler was being formed in secret, where the profound lessons of governance and forgiveness were etched into his soul. You have been in that classroom. You may still be in it right now, feeling the intensity of the learning curve. And if you are, I want you to hear this clearly, to let it penetrate the deepest chambers of your heart. The suffering that felt purposeless, the trials that seemed without reason, had a curriculum. There was a divine lesson embedded within the struggle. The isolation that felt like rejection, the loneliness that echoed in the emptiness, was actually God separating you from the noise, the distractions of the world, so He could speak to you in frequencies only the prepared can receive, in a language spoken heart to heart. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the part that breaks the cycle, the revelation that liberates you from the recurring patterns of pain and stagnation. Most people wait for the goodbye to be finished before they start moving forward. They say, "I'll trust God once this situation is resolved." They live in a state of perpetual anticipation, a holding pattern of conditional faith. "I'll step into my purpose once I know what's next," they declare, seeking certainty before commitment. "I'll let go once I have something to hold on to instead," they bargain, needing a tangible replacement before they release the old. But that is not how divine transition works. God rarely reveals the landing before He asks you to leave the ledge. Faith is not the bridge you cross after you see the other side. It is the courage to step into the void, trusting the unseen hand that supports you. Faith is the step you take when all you can see is sky, an infinite expanse of possibility. This is where it gets confrontational, not because I want to make you uncomfortable, but because this truth, if you receive it, will dismantle a lie that has been keeping you circling the same mountain for years, repeating the same patterns of frustration and disappointment. The goodbye you keep postponing, the relationship you know isn't right, the one that drains your spirit, the environment you know is shrinking you, like a garment that has become too small, the version of yourself you keep returning to out of habit, a comfortable but limiting old skin. You are not waiting on God's timing. God has already spoken, his voice a persistent whisper in your spirit. What you are actually waiting for is permission from people who will never give it, an external validation that will never come. You are waiting for consensus from voices that were never meant to authorize your next level, voices that are themselves bound by limitations. And as long as their approval is the threshold for your movement, as long as you require their blessing to step forward, you will remain exactly where you are, tethered to their limited perspective. Ruth didn't wait for the village to understand her loyalty to Naomi, her unwavering devotion. She didn't wait for a sign or a strategy or a safe path, a guarantee of success. She spoke her goodbye to her old land, her old gods, her old future, in one of the most radical and beautiful declarations in all of Scripture. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. And she moved. And it was the willingness to make that quiet, irreversible goodbye, that profound act of faith and surrender, that positioned her for a legacy no one in her family line had ever imagined. Her breakthrough wasn't in the fields of Boaz, though that was a significant part of her story. Her breakthrough was in the moment she chose to walk away from what was familiar, from the safety of the known, toward something she couldn't yet see, a future painted with the vibrant hues of divine providence. In just a moment we'll uncover what's been hidden in plain sight, the real reason the goodbye has felt so hard, the emotional anchor that has held you captive. Because here is what most people don't realize, a subtle deception that plays out in the theater of the soul. The reason the goodbye feels so devastating is not because of what you're losing, the external circumstances that appear to be slipping through your fingers. It's because of how deeply you have tied your identity to it, how inextricably you have woven your sense of self into the fabric of that relationship, that community, that role, that version of yourself that belonged to those spaces. You didn't just participate in those things, you became them. A fusion that blurred the lines between your essence and your earthly attachments. And when God begins to pull them away, not with violence, but with a gentle, persistent unraveling, it doesn't just feel like change. It feels like erasure. It feels like if that thing goes, you go with it, a complete annihilation of your being. But that is the lie. That is the agreement that has to be broken. The false narrative that must be exposed and discarded. You are not the role you played. You are not the relationship that defined you. You are not the community that once held you in its embrace. You are the one God placed inside all of those things, the divine spark animated within the earthly vessel. And when he removes the container, it is not to destroy you. It is to remind you with undeniable clarity that you were never defined by it, that your true essence transcends all external circumstances. This is where the real transformation begins, the profound alchemy of the spirit. And it starts with understanding the nature of divine severance. God doesn't cut things off because they were bad or tainted. Sometimes he severs things that were genuinely good, genuinely meaningful, genuinely appointed for a season. Because they were appointed for a season and not a lifetime. They served their purpose, fulfilled their divine mandate, and now it is time for them to gracefully recede, making way for what is next. And one of the most spiritually mature things a person can do is honor something for what it was. Release it with profound gratitude for the lessons learned and the growth experienced, and trust that what comes next was worth the cost of letting go. Grief is not the opposite of faith. It is a sacred passage, a testament to the depth of what we have loved. You can mourn the ending and still believe in the beginning with every fiber of your being. You can cry over what was, acknowledging the beauty and the pain of the past, and still walk toward what is with a heart open to the unfolding future. But let me challenge you with something, because we are in the confrontation zone now, the space where truth meets resistance. And I want to be honest with you, to speak with unflinching clarity. There is something beneath the grief that you haven't named yet, a deeper current flowing beneath the surface of your sorrow. Underneath the sadness about what's leaving is a fear you haven't fully faced, an unspoken terror that lurks in the shadows of your subconscious. And the fear is this: what if I make this goodbye? Release everything God is asking me to release. Step into the unknown with radical abandon, and I still end up alone. What if I let go and nothing catches me, like a diver leaping into an abyss with no safety net? What if the next thing never comes, leaving me stranded in a desolate landscape of my own making? That fear is real. I'm not dismissing it. I acknowledge its power and its presence. But I need you to hear what that fear is actually telling you, because it is not telling you the truth about the future. It is telling you the truth about what you believe about God, about your underlying perception of His character and His faithfulness. And if deep down you believe that God might let you fall, that He might ask you to release what you love and then fail to show up, to abandon you in your moment of greatest need, then the real work isn't about the goodbye. The real work is about trust, about dismantling the false beliefs that prevent you from experiencing the fullness of His love and His provision. And here's the part you probably didn't expect, a divine twist that reorients your perspective entirely. The thing that has been making this goodbye so hard isn't the enemy, though he delights in our bondage to fear. It isn't your past, though its echoes can be powerful. It isn't the people involved, though their actions may have contributed to the pain. It is the fact that somewhere inside of you, buried beneath layers of conditioning and past hurts, you still believe that you have to earn what God has already promised. You have been functioning as though your breakthrough is contingent on your performance, as though if you just hold on long enough, sacrifice enough, prove enough, endure enough, then maybe, finally, you'll deserve the next chapter, the blessings that await you. But that is not the economy of heaven. Race doesn't function on merit. It is a gift freely given, unearned and undeserved. Your next season isn't being withheld until you get it right, until you achieve a certain level of perfection. It's being positioned, unfolded, and manifested while you learn to let go, while you embrace the freedom of unmerited favor. The goodbye isn't the price of admission. It is the door itself, the very gateway to your destiny. And the moment you stop trying to earn your way through it, the moment you release the burden of performance and simply walk through it, embracing the grace that awaits you on the other side, everything shifts. The air clears, the path illuminates, and the kingdom of heaven comes into its fullness within your life. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart. Feel the steady rhythm of your own life force, the undeniable presence of the divine within you, and declare this with me, with every ounce of your being. I release what was never meant to stay. I release the identity I built to survive seasons I have now outgrown. I release the need for permission from people who were never meant to authorize my next level. I release the fear that letting go means falling. I declare that every goodbye God has ordained in my life is a threshold, not a tragedy. I am not being abandoned. I am being positioned. I am not being erased. I am being refined. I trust the God who removes things with the same measure. I trust the God who removes things with the same measure. I trust the God who gives. I step forward, not because I can see the path clearly, but because I know the one who laid it. I am ready. I am chosen. And my next chapter has already been written, a masterpiece of divine love and purpose. If this message confirms something your spirit already knew, a truth that resonated deep within your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who is in the middle of a quiet goodbye right now. Someone who feels adrift in the sea of transition, because they need to know that what they're feeling is not the end, it's the beginning. Dressed in the language of loss, a beautiful and powerful paradox of divine orchestration.